The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is stepping up efforts to combat oil theft in the Niger Delta as the country's oil production continues to plummet. Now you know how we do it, so over the next half hour, we're going to be looking beyond the business headlines by bringing you in-depth perspectives on what's happening in the business world. First, we'll take a look at oil theft. After that, we'll proceed to revenue allocations. Of course, we're also going to take a look at profits growth and many more. After the break, stay with us. Hello and welcome to Business This Week on Viewer Television. My name is Chiwen Wokocha. Now, we begin today's news where the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is stepping up efforts to combat oil theft in the Niger Delta as the country's oil production continues to plummet. In an update on its fight against crude oil theft in the country in July, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited said it uncovered 162 illegal pipeline connections and illegal refineries in the Niger Delta, mostly in Bayelsa State. In a 2-minute documentary, the state-owned oil firm said 93 illegal pipeline connections and 69 illegal refineries were uncovered in Abo and Wokoda between July 15th and 21st and had been destroyed. War on crude oil theft, 93 illegal pipeline connections discovered and 69 illegal refineries destroyed in the Niger Delta in the past week, the company declared. Now, the company explained that large-scale crude oil theft was currently ongoing in the Niger Delta according to the NNPCL. The illegalities were discovered using its maritime intelligence system. And still in the oil sector, Nigeria lost about 335 million naira to oil spilled between January and August 2023, according to the estimation from data released by the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency. NOSDRA, in its oil spill data for the period under review, said a total of 168 incidents of oil spill incidents were cost the country a loss of 5,520 barrels of crude oil in 8 months, were recorded against oil companies operating in the country. Now, going by an average price of crude oil within the period of $82 per barrel, and the Central Bank of Nigeria's exchange rate of 740 naira per dollar, the estimated amount the country lost to oil spill within the period under review was 335 million naira. The agency noted that the spill occurred in the facilities of 23 oil firms, with Shell Petroleum Development Company recording the highest spill volume of 4,340 barrels of crude oil in 43 spill incidents, representing 78.62% of total crude oil spilled in the period under review. And on revenue allocations, distributable revenues into the Federation accounts declined by 23% in the second quarter of 2023 to 2.04 trillion naira compared to 2.32 trillion naira in the first quarter of 2023. Now, the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative has reported this. NEITI in its review disclosed that the 3 tiers of government, that is the federal, state, and the local government council, shared a total of 4.37 trillion naira from the Federation account as statutory revenue allocations in the first 6 months of the year. The agency explained that each tier of government received more than 1 trillion naira over the 6-month period. On a year-on-year basis, the report showed that the distributable revenue of 4.366 trillion naira shared by the three tiers of government between January and June 2023 was higher by about 16.7% from about 4.05 trillion naira shared in the corresponding period of 2022. Okay, you're still watching Business This Week. Now, taking a look at profit growth, Guaranty Trust Holding Company PLC profit before tax rose to 327.4 billion naira in the first half of 2023 financial period. Now, the group disclosed this in a statement on its audited, consolidated, and separate financial statements for the period ended June 30th, 2023 to the Nigerian Exchange Group and London Stock Exchange. It stated that the group's loan book increased by 22.8% from 1.89 trillion naira recorded as of December 2022 to 2.23 trillion naira in June 2023, while deposits liabilities grew by 37.0% from 4.61 trillion naira recorded in December 2022 to 6.23 trillion naira in June 2023. The group's balance sheet remained well structured and resilient, with total assets and shareholders' funds closing at 8.5 trillion naira and 1.2 trillion naira respectively. Commenting on the results, the Group Chief Executive Officer of Guaranty Trust Holding Company PLC, Segun Agbaje, said the half-year audited results reflect the strong business fundamentals underpinning the GTCO franchise. And on foreign exchange, no fewer than 40 aircraft belonging to domestic airlines are currently grounded in maintenance facilities abroad and in Nigeria due to lack of access to foreign exchange from the Central Bank of Nigeria to pay the necessary bills, according to newsmen. While over 30 airplanes are stranded overseas, a little above 10 aircraft are grounded in Nigeria due to lack of forex to acquire some major spare parts from abroad. Aside from the grounded planes, some operators are unable to acquire new aircraft engines to replace old ones that have completed their cycles due to dollar scarcity. Airline officials said the developments might worsen the current flight disruptions being experienced by passengers occasioned by shortage of airplanes. Operators are seeking forex to pay foreign aircraft maintenance facilities and acquire spare parts from abroad for the aircraft undergoing maintenance locally. Moving on, despite concerns around the soaring inflation, interest rate hikes, and weak microeconomic indices, positive investors' sentiment in the stock market last week drove a 536 billion naira gain at the Nigerian Exchange Limited and at the beginning of the month's trading. Now, the market, which opened at 36.422 trillion naira, maintained an upward trajectory to close at 36.95 trillion naira, indicating a 1.47% capital gain. Similarly, the all-share index moved up by 1.47% to 67,527.19 from 66,548 points. Now, this brought the cumulative gains for the week to 1.077 trillion naira or 3.00% week-to-date returns. This comes as African Markets, a website tracking the performance of stock exchanges in Africa, named the NGX as one of the best performing exchanges in Africa within the last 3 months. You're still watching Business This Week on Viewer Television. It's time for a short break, and when we return, the program continues. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Business This Week on Viewer Television. Moving on, we'll be taking a look at subsidy pens. Now, the Nigeria Labour Congress has vowed to ground the economy as it says each stage is set for a 2-day nationwide warning strike in response to the severe economic hardships plaguing the nation on the aftermath of the subsidy removal by the federal government. This move has garnered widespread support, including the banking sector, civil society organizations, and workers' union as they unite to address the economic crisis in the country. The National Union of Bankers, Insurance and Financial Institution Employees, the umbrella organization representing workers in the banking and insurance industry, on Monday vowed to take part in the strike, effectively shutting down financial activities across Nigeria. Now, a statement signed by the General Secretary of NUBIFIE, Mr. Mohammed Sheikh, underscored the importance of their participation in the 2-day warning strike by the NLC, citing the need to draw government's attention to the dire economic situation faced by Nigerians. Still on the economic issue, foreign firms repatriated about $5.86 billion from the Nigerian economic between October 2022 and March 2023. The Central Bank of Nigeria has disclosed this. Now, about $5.13 billion was repatriated as dividends by foreign investors. In its economic report for the first quarter of 2023, the Apex Bank disclosed that higher dividend payments to non-residents further widened the deficit in its primary income account. It stated that this deficit widened to $2.69 billion in the first quarter of 2023 from $2.26 billion in the last quarter of 2022. Now, according to the CBN, the primary income account covers the compensation of employees and investment income. In its quarterly statistical bulletin, it said the investment income component refers to accrued income on existing foreign financial assets and liabilities. This income may be profits, interest, dividends, and royalties received by or paid to direct and portfolio investors. It may also be interest and commitment charges on loans. Dividend payments to foreign investors amount to $5.13 billion in the 6 months under review. Now, giving a breakdown of payments, the bank stated the deficit in the primary income account widened by 18.7% to $2.69 billion in the first quarter of 2023 due to the primary reasons. Now, moving on to the next story. The executive secretary and chief executive officer of the Solid Minerals Development Fund, Fatima Shinkafi, said that the proposed Solid Minerals Corporation would not clash with the mandate of the Solid Minerals Funds. She said these while addressing journalists after the unveiling of the NEITI industry report for the solid minerals industry for 2021 in Abuja. According to her, the SMDF is like the Petroleum Technology Development Fund, which does not clash with the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Shinkafi further showed support for the proposed agenda of the current Minister of Solid Minerals, Dele Alaki. The SMDF boss also clarified previous reports that the fund had been misused. It was reported that the federal government might have turned over 1 trillion naira natural mineral resources fund set up to develop the solid minerals sector to a slush fund. The fund was set up by the Olusegun Obasanjo administration via an executive order in 2002 to develop alternative mineral resources to lessen the nation's dependence on petroleum. Now, findings indicated that 738 billion naira and $3 million had been disbursed from the fund for extraneous expenses, including the 2015 elections, the African Nations Cups, roads and drainage rehabilitations in Osun, Kano, and other states. And on electricity, the federal government has announced an increase in the prices of single-phase and three-phase prepaid electricity meters and declared that the hike takes effect from September 2023. It announced this in an order released by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission and jointly signed by the Commission's chairman, Sanusi Garba, and its Commissioner, Legal, Financing and Compliance, Dafe Akpeneye. In this order, the government stated that a single-phase meter would now cost 81,975 naira from the previous price of 58,661 naira, while the price of a three-phase meter was raised to 143,836 naira from 109,684 naira. Now, this was, however, kicked against by power consumers who wondered why the federal government had continued to hike the cost of various commodities in Nigeria's energy sector. But explaining why it hiked the cost of the meters, the NERC said it was to ensure a fair and reasonable pricing of meters to both meter asset providers and end-use customers. And the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has kicked against Oando PLC's acquisition of Nigerian Ajib Oil Company onshore assets in Nigeria. The deal involving oil mining lease 60, 61, 62, and 63 was struck to enable Ajib Eni's subsidiary to escape from increasing exposure to challenges while providing Oando the opportunity to grow its assets base in the Niger Delta. But in a letter to the managing director of Nigerian Ajib Oil Company and the chief operating officer of Oando Oil Limited, OOL NNPC Limited said its attention has been drawn to various reports circulating on different media platforms concerning an alleged divestment of NOAC participating in the OML mentioned above to Oando Oil Limited. A duly signed press statement allegedly emanating from OOL, dated 4th September 2023, affirms that NAOC has assigned its entire 20% participating interest in the said OMLs to OOL. And on revenue expenditures, the World Bank Country Director for Nigeria, Shubham Chaudhary, said public spending in the country is among the lowest globally. Chaudhary said this while making his keynote address at the annual Banking and Finance Conference in Abuja. According to him, public spending by the Nigerian government, both the federal and subnational levels, have been very low. The World Bank leader for Nigeria also noted that public investment spending in Nigeria lags those in other countries like Indonesia, Ghana, Egypt, and Kenya, and this has led to poor quality of and access to infrastructure. Chaudhary also disclosed that government revenues are one of the lowest in the world between 2015 and 2021, and low revenues are the key risk to fiscal and debt sustainability. Well, that's all we have for you today on Business This Week. My name is Chinwe Nwokocha, and from all of us here at Viewer Television, we say have a wonderful day. See you same time next week. Bye for now.